Hello everyone, this is Mr. Underkoffler. Today we're going to be looking at the guide notes called Writing Inequalities to Solve Problems. Alright, at the top of the page is this table that you should have seen before. I had this exact same table of vocabulary phrases that mean inequality symbols on the guide notes called Intro to Inequalities. So this is not the first time that I have put these here. You have seen this before, but feel free to use this as a resource to help you throughout the word problems on this packet of guide notes. Now, here's the key to success, and I'm going to try to explain this in the easiest way possible. And when you start to look at some examples, you'll start to really see what I mean by this. In each problem, you're going to want to find the words that mean the inequality symbol. And when you do that, here's the key. The words that mean the inequality symbol and the number that comes next in the sentence, that part must be written mathematically in the same order as it was written in the sentence. Let me show you what I mean. Problem number one. At most, $170 can be spent at the mall, according to Kendra's parents. If she has already spent $58 in clothes, how much more can she spend? Okay, I've already broken this down for you. I've typed some things up here to kind of guide you through this thought process. And I've already highlighted for you, although it might be highlighted in gray on your copy, so feel free to, if you have your own highlighter, to highlight it on your own or maybe underline it. Here are the words that mean the inequality symbol, at most. You can find that up here at the top. At most means less than or equal to. And notice $170 is immediately next in the sentence. That part must be written mathematically in the same order that you saw it in the sentence. That's what this key to success was talking about. So, since 170 was to the right of the phrase at most, it has to stay to the right of less than or equal to. If you write it on the left side, you're doing it backwards from how it was right there in the sentence. That's really important, believe it or not. So, that part must stay the same. So what's going to go on the left? Well, keep reading. The math meaning of the second sentence will have to go to the left of it because the first sentence gave us the phrase at most 170. That was the inequality symbol and the 170. But the next sentence, whatever it means, will end up being written on the left side of this less than or equal to symbol. So what are we talking about? She's already spent money on clothes. How much more money can she spend? So since we're trying to find out how much more money she can spend, we should probably maybe choose S for the money that she can spend. And we know she already spent $58. Well, let me ask you, how do you find total amounts of money that you spend in real life? Well, you would add whatever you've been buying together to give you the total. So, pencils in your hand, write this down next where it says so, ... The $58 she already spent plus what she's going to spend remaining, whatever that is next, that would be less than or equal to $170. So notice how we did this. We found the words that meant the inequality symbol, the number that comes next. We wrote that in the same order mathematically that we saw it in the sentence. And then if there's another sentence afterwards, then that's going to have to go on the left of that inequality symbol. Let's take a look at another example. Problem number 2. There's at least 9 people plus Lee's family coming to our house for dinner. If we only have 24 seats in our dining room, how many people from Lee's family can eat at our place for dinner? So I broke this down for you. Follow along. It said at least 9 people. Those are the words that mean the inequality symbol. If you go to the top of the page, you will see that at least means that much or more, so greater than or equal to. Notice the 9 was immediately next to the phrase at least. That's why the 9 must be on the right side of the inequality symbol. Because whatever words mean the inequality symbol and the number that comes right next in the sentence, that part must be written mathematically in the same order that you saw it in the sentence. So that's why the 9 must be on the right. If you write it on the left, you're doing it wrong. Now, this sentence was a little interesting because there was more. It said plus Lee's family. Well, it just so happens we are trying to find how many people are in Lee's family that can come to our place for dinner. So that's actually the unknown. You're probably not used to having the variable on the right, but that's just how this problem worked out. So you write it down. Plus means plus. Lee's family, that's the unknown. And so that's where your variable is. So what about this 24 seats? Well, that's the grand total. We're used to having the grand total on the right, but we already have 9 plus F on the right. So that means the total of 24, go ahead and fill in the blank, must go on the other side of the greater than or equal to symbol. It's going to have to go to the left of the greater than or equal to symbol. So, pencils ready, write it all down. We got 24, then greater than or equal to 9 plus the amount of people in Lee's family that are coming to our house for dinner. So that's the inequality. And this is how you're going to do these problems. Piece by piece, put it all together. You should have an algebraic inequality. You just have to make sure you're looking for the words that mean the inequality symbol and the number that comes immediately next, and write that mathematically in the same order that you saw it in the sentence. So let's do a couple together, and these are the kind where the directions say write an algebraic inequality for each problem and use it to solve. So we're actually going to be solving the remaining problems here on the packet of guided notes, whereas number 1 and 2, we didn't solve them. All right, problem number 3. Our car can carry a maximum of 900 pounds. If the instruments weigh 185 pounds, how much more weight can the car hold? Okay, did you catch the word or words that mean the inequality symbol? There is something in this word problem that if you go to the very top where you have this lovely table, you'll see a word, or possibly maybe it's 2 words, that mean an inequality symbol. Here it is. The word maximum. If you have a highlighter, highlight what I'm highlighting. If you don't, underline what I'm underlining. And what number comes next? Boom, 900 pounds. Now, that's the part you have to find in every word problem. It's not always going to be in the first sentence. Now, I know, so far it has been. Number 1, number 2, number 3. So far it's been in the first sentence. But it's not always going to be. Sometimes it'll be the second sentence. So you always have to find where are the words that mean the inequality symbol. Now, let's write down what this means. A maximum of 900 pounds means that's the highest it can be. So you can be less than or you can be equal to the 900 pounds. Notice where I wrote the 900. I did not put it on the left because this is very simple. In the sentence, it was to the right of the word maximum. So you must keep it to the right of the inequality symbol. If you flip it around, you're doing it wrong. Okay, what about the next sentence? The instruments weigh 185 pounds. How much more weight? That's what we're trying to find. So we're going to pick a variable to represent how much more weight. I guess W would be the logical choice. So what do I do with the 185 and the W? Would I multiply them to get a total weight of 900? I don't think so. Would I subtract the weight of the instruments and the extra weight that the car can still hold to get 900 pounds? I don't think so. This is kind of like number 1, where the weights added together will give you the total maximum weight. So there you go. Write it down. Now, how do we solve? Well, the inverse of adding, because in our head we ask ourselves what's happening to our variable. It's being added by 185. So the inverse is subtract by 185. We do it on both sides. Do I have to make the subtraction out in the opposite? I don't think so, because 900 is a bigger positive minus a smaller positive. We can just go ahead and subtract from here. 185 take away 185 is 0. You do not have to show the 0 step anymore. Bring down the W, and less than or equal to, don't put an equal sign, it's less than or equal to, and you're going to get 715. Since we're talking about the weight, and the weights here were always in pounds, then we're going to put that same label on our answer. Let's do another problem together. On a long trip, May's family drove at an average speed of 52 miles per hour. If they traveled no more than 624 miles, how many hours did the trip take? Okay, can you find the words that mean the inequality symbol? If you need to hit pause and go back up to the table, please feel free to do that. Did you find it? It's the words no more than. And what number comes immediately next? 624 miles. So, we need to make sure that part right there that I've highlighted in yellow is written mathematically in the same order that we see it in the sentence. No more than means it cannot be more than. So that's why it's less than or equal to. Of course, you could have also looked it up from the table at the top of the page. Where do I write the 624? Do I write it on the left? Do I write it on the right? On the left, or do I write it on the right? Well, since it was to the right of the words no more than, you have to keep it on the right. That part must be written mathematically the same order that we saw those words in that sentence. That's the key to success on this entire packet of guided notes. Now, the first sentence is going to actually go over here on the left. We have 52 miles per hour, and we are trying to find how many hours did the trip take. So I think H is a logical choice for the variable. So what do I do with the 52 and the H to get 624? Would I add them? Does that sound logical for 52 miles per hour? I don't think you would take miles plus hours to get total miles. I think that we have talked about this before. The word per means times. So 52 miles per hour means 52 miles times the hours. So you should have 52 times H. There are other words that could also mean multiplication. The word each can mean multiplication. The phrase for every can mean multiplication, like 52 miles each hour, 52 miles for every hour. So those are other words or phrases that also can mean multiplication. Okay, what's happening to our variable? Well, it's being multiplied. We just said it. What's the inverse? We're going to divide. Do it on both sides. Since we're dividing by a positive, the inequality symbol will not switch direction. It only switches direction when you multiply or divide by a negative on both sides, and we're not doing that here. Go ahead, use your calculator if you need to. 624 divided by 52 is going to give you 12. Since we're trying to find how many hours, let's put that label on our answer. Okay, now that I've talked you through 1 and 2, and I led you through numbers 3 and 4, and we solved them together, let's have you try 5, 6, and 7 on your own. Just those 3 problems. Don't go to number 8 yet. We're going to end up doing 8 and 9 together. Just 5, 6, and 7 on your own, and then hit play once you're ready to see how you did. So hit pause now, do 5, 6, and 7. Okay, did you already do 5, 6, and 7? If not, you better hit pause now, because you need to do these problems first on your own. Okay, here we go. What words meant the inequality symbol? I'm going to use my yellow highlighter once again. It's the phrase at least. And what number comes next? It's the 45. So, did you write down greater than or equal to 45? Now, what are we trying to find? The problem said, how much is the cost per invitation? So, it's the cost that we are trying to find. Well, not the total cost. It's the cost per invitation, which, by the way, was also mentioned up here. The 45 invitations were each at the same cost. Oh, wait, there's that word each. We talked about this not too long ago. That's a word that can mean multiplication. So, what exactly should be multiplied to our cost? It's the 45 invitations. So I know this is not something you're used to having, the variable on the right, but that's where it ends up being. That actually happened back on problem number 2, if you recall. So here it is again. Now, that's going to be having the total spent as 180. Normally the total's on the right, but on this problem, it just happened to end up going on the left because the 45 times the C ended up on the right. Okay, from here, if you mess that up, go ahead and fix it now, and that might change how you solve it, possibly. So feel free to hit pause if you need to fix up your work. From here, what's happening to the variable? It's being multiplied. Therefore, the inverse is to divide. That's going to give you 4. The inequality symbol does not switch direction when you're dividing by a positive. But notice where the variable is. It's on the right. We don't ever want to have the variable on the right for the final answer of an inequality. So you should switch the order of everything. Instead of C on the right, C is on the left. Instead of 4 on the left, 4 is going to be on the right. And then what about this inequality symbol? It's going to have to switch directions as well. And then please put the label. Since it's the cost per invitation, we should put dollars here. C is less than or equal to $4. If you need to hit pause to fix your work, please feel free to do so. Moving on, problem number 6. What words meant the inequality symbol? It was the phrase was at most. Now, I know the word was can mean equals, but not when it says at most right after it. Then it means the less than or equal to symbol, because at most means that's the most it's allowed to be. You can be equal to it or you can be less. Where does that 45 go? Because that's the very next number next to the words at most. Well, since it's to the right of the phrase at most, it's going to have to stay to the right of the inequality symbol. Now, what are we going to put on the left? Well, we're trying to find the original price. And they mention here about the original price, but notice what it was talking about at this situation. It was saying the difference between the original price and the sale price. By the way, they already gave us the sale price way up here as $49.75. What does difference mean? It means a subtraction problem. So, did you have a variable for the original price subtracted by the sale price, which was $49.75? And then from here, the inverse of subtracting, because you ask yourself what's happened to the variable, it's being subtracted. Inverse of subtraction is adding. Add by that number on both sides. You can call the 45.00. That way you don't need to use a calculator. You can just quickly add, and you will get 75 cents here, and then 5 plus 4, or 5 plus 9 is 14. Carry the 1. You will get $94.75. Put a dollar sign on that answer, and you got it. Moving on. Problem number 7. Vivek spent a total of $250 or less. Now, this is not something I've been putting on a lot of these problems, where it gives you a certain number or less. This is mentioned at the very top of the first page. A number or less means less than or equal to that number. Just like if you had a number or more, it would mean greater than or equal to that number. So, let's see how you did on interpreting this. If it's 250 or less, then it means less than or equal to 250. Now, I know that's a little bit, you might not have expected that, because the 250 was to the left of the words or less, but it's equaling 250, or it can be less than 250. So the 250 is to the right of the less than or equal to symbol. Now, what's going to go on the left? Well, this is talking about Vivek wanting to buy a hoodie from an NBA team, and the NBA team's cost is $79.99. So that's the cost we're going to have to use here. How much more can he spend? This sounds familiar. We talked about something like this, almost the same type of wording. On problem number 1, to get total amounts, you add the things together. Very similar to problem number 1. All right, hit pause if you messed this up. Fix whatever you got to fix. From here, the inverse of adding, because you ask yourself what's happened to the variables being added by $79.99, is to subtract. That would be the inverse. Do it on both sides, work down, and you are going to get that the amount that Vivek can spend is less than or equal to $170.01. All right, I'm going to stop the video at this point. We'll consider this part 1. Problems 8, 9, 10, and 11, we will make that a part 2. So thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.